Okay, let's move on to setup. So that's all explained on page 2 of the rulebook. So what we're going to do first, we're going to stick our mole management board, so this big board here in the middle of the table, but we are going to need plenty of space either side to place additional cards. Once we've got our mole management board in the center, we're going to take one cube and place it on the start point here on our suspicion meter. And we're also going to need our D6, which we'll just put on the board for now. We're going to need that later. So that's step 1 of the setup. Step 2, we're going to move on to our mole cards. So you get 6 mole cards in the print and play file. Each is identical. You've got the name of the mole and they're kind of bonus to 3 different types of check. Moles can approach problems in different ways. They can either try to solve things through a feat of athletics, there's a social solution we might attempt, or a bit more of a creative solution. And different moles are good at different types of skill check. So we're going to want to put them in our trench coat. We've got our trench coat here and we've got 3 slots for 3 moles, top, middle and bottom. So we'll give them a little bit of a shuffle and let's place them in the trench coat. When you place them in the trench coat, you want to make sure that these boxes are lined up so you can clearly see what bonus goes against what type of skill. So let's stick our moles in and then we'll come back and just talk about our different skills. Let's stick Usain in there at the bottom. So our event cards up here are going to give us options for 2 different skills we can try and attempt to resolve a particular event. And this is 2 out of 9 different types of skills. Ultimately, we're going to try and solve things through kind of 3 broad areas. We're either going to try and evade something or someone. We could try and impress someone, quite often getting a piece of information or a reward in return. Or we can try and deduce something where we find lots of information out and we want to find out what on earth it all means. So now we've got our 3 moles in the trench coat giving us our different bonuses, and if we look at that, we're looking particularly good. Roger giving us a good bonus here against any sing attempts. And Usain very athletic, which is giving us a decent pickpocket. Right, could come in useful. So we've got our moles, 3 in the trench coat. You'll have 3 left over. You can just leave them face up. Here we go, by the side of the board. Step 2 done of the setup. Step 3, we're going to create 3 piles of event cards. So this is your event cards up here. We've got 4 different levels going from kind of an easier check up to the final check, which is far more difficult, and that's why we're going to try and rescue Great Aunt Hilda. And what we're going to want to do is sort these into 3 piles. So let's just shunt these over there to create a bit of a side. And we're going to want to evenly distribute each level of check across the 3 piles. So we'll start with the level 4 piles at the bottom here, 1 in each pile. Go next with our level 3 checks. Again, I'm just equally distributing, so 6 cards in total, 2 in each pile. Move on to our level 2 cards here, 1 in each pile. And finally our level 1 cards, just randomly sorted into each pile. Okay, so that's our event piles done. Moving on to step 4 now, we're going to start with our bonus cards. So we look at our hand bonus cards. There's a total of 24 cards, but we immediately want to split them. 8 cards are going to have this little S in the bottom left corner. These are your starter hand cards. So we're going to want to take these 8 and put them to one side. The other 16 that don't have the S, they're going to go and form our shop. So starter cards can go over here, and what we're going to want to do is just flip them and give them a shuffle, because we're going to draw randomly from this pile. And then to create the shop, we're going to want to again flip these cards, give them a shuffle so we don't know what's what, and we're just going to want to create next to the board 3 cards that go into the shop, which we will be able to potentially pick up as we go through the game and hopefully give us some better bonuses when we attempt the events. So that's step 4, our starter cards are all sorted, and we've also moved on to step 5, shuffle the remaining bonus hand cards and deal 3 face up into the shop. The final thing is just to leave some spaces for cards that we're going to use. So we're going to need to put our draw pile over here for our hand cards. Some of our hand cards are going to be used, so once we draw them, we play them, they'll go into that used pile. We're also going to have the option to discard some cards as we go through the game, so we've got some space up here for some discarded hand cards as well. That's the setup. So pretty easy to get your molds in position into the Trenchcoat, sort through your hand cards, get your 3 piles of event cards going from more difficult checks at the bottom, working their way up to the easier checks at the top, and we can see now with your mold management board in the middle and the suspicion meter set to 0. That's setup done. We're ready to play.